Hello everyone. Today's video is a very special video. It is a Thanksgiving Day collab with Valerie Hargett from Valerie Hargett. Please check out her channel as well as the playlist down in the description box.
Today I'm going to be making some deviled eggs. Now, deviled eggs is something that I use in my family for a side dish all the time. They go really far. They're great as an appetizer. They're also great as a side dish. So, what you're going to need for it is some eggs, olives, dill relish, paprika. We're also going to need mustard. And we're also going to need the white stuff. My husband doesn't like mayo. He will eat stuff with this stuff in it. Cream cheese, sour cream, mayonnaise. He don't know what's in there. So he likes it when he eats it. So I don't have to tell him everything. He's like a child. So I'm going to start out with 18 eggs. I'm going to check and see how many. This will make 36 deviled eggs because you have them. The way I do it is I'm just going to cover the whole bottom of my pot in eggs. Let's see how many it'll hold, and then I'm going to cover it with water, bring it to a boil, turn it down, cover it for 10 minutes, and then they should be done. Of course, we have to let them cool and crack them open and slice them and all that good stuff, and I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, looks like we're going to get 13. No, let's see, these are 18, so 15. So that'll make 30 eggs. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover these with water. I cover mine about 2 inches above the eggs so that they don't crack and they're covered really well. And also, I use the paprika and the olives for garnish. So I'll show you what I end up doing is putting the yolks after I fix that mixture into a piping bag. Now I only do that if I'm taking them somewhere for like a holiday or something. So I think I'm gonna try to add these, see if they'll add after I added the water. I think I can get them all in here. Yeah, they'll all fit. Also, so 18 eggs, 36 deviled eggs. But I will put them in a piping bag with a large star tip to fill my egg halves with. But I'll show you what they look like when we come back and get started, and they're really good. You also need salt and pepper. Let me know in the comments below, do you like deviled eggs and how do you make yours? I don't know where the name deviled eggs comes from, the word deviled, why that makes them deviled. But I do know you can fix them lots of different ways. I've seen them in some places like garnished with caviar to make them look fancy, or chives, that type of thing. But I choose to do mine with the olives and paprika, and I'll show you what that looks like. The hardest part of making the deviled eggs, in my opinion, is getting them to come apart without falling apart or tearing. So after they boiled and set for 10 minutes, I rinsed them out and put cold water on them and let them sit there. And I'm going to put a paper towel here to just drain that water when I get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shells off. We got them all peeled and cracked. We're going to cut our eggs in half and put all of our yolks in this bowl because we're going to make 2 trays of eggs. Talk to me nice. Talk to me. Let's see here. Okay. Now I got all the egg yolks in like that. Okay. Take the lid off. There's a few on top that didn't get mashed really good, but I'm just going to do them with my fingers like that, and they're fine. Here's another one. And you know, you always start out your kitchen cleaning your hands, washing your hands. Your hands are probably the best tools you'll ever have. You know, God gave them to us for a reason. So I use mine for a lot of things. You know, I look at my hands, and you know what I see? My mother's hands. They really do. They look just like my mom's hands looking at me. Or, you know, they look just like my mother's hands. Look at your hands sometimes. There's a verse about, just a minute. There's a verse about your mother's hands. And, okay, see how that looks after we chopped it up really fine? There's a verse or a poem about your hands, about someone's hands, and I'll try to find it and share it with you. It was really sweet. Okay, put about approximately half a tablespoon of mustard. Now, this is just a taste. It's not really a measurement. You can do it according to what you like and the flavor that you like, okay? So, I like a lot of mayonnaise in mine, but I'm not going to make it too runny because I don't want it to not hold together in the piping bag. Before we put our dill relish in, I want to get our, yeah, this is a good consistency here. Okay, I'll show you here in a minute. Let me put my salt and pepper in it. And now your pickles will have some, your dill relish will have some salt in it as well. Good. Okay, let me get one that's already opened. I can find it. Here we go. And I just pour mine in there because they're already chopped up. So probably a quarter of a cup. Like I said, it's really to taste. Let me taste it. I think it needs more salt and maybe pepper. Maybe even a little bit more mayo. Tastes too mustardy to me. Let's try it here. See what it looks like? Okay. That's good. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to take it and fill it up. Sometimes you might get a little air pocket because of the, probably because of the dill relish. Hopefully that's what it is. There it goes. There it goes. And it literally fills up that quick. Okay, got this one tray done. Look how pretty those look. Aren't those beautiful? All right. Now, I've got my paprika. Shake it all over my eggs. Very lightly. Okay. See that? Okay. Now, I'm going to take my olive. Pour some olives in here and strain the juice out of them. Now, you want it, I'm going to set it right there in the middle. You want it where the pimento shows so that red matches the red paprika. If you can, if you can't, it's not a big deal. It's just to make it look pretty. That's all it is to make it look pretty. Food, you eat with your eyes first. Have you ever heard that saying? So, you want to make it look pretty and presentable first. I lost one. Okay. So, put this over here. There is our tray of deviled eggs.
I think these turned out so pretty and they were definitely delicious. This next recipe I'm going to be sharing with you is for a pecan pie. It's basically just a dump and go recipe, and it's so easy and it turns out delicious every time.
Put your pie crust. You can either use a prepared pie crust. What I'm going to be using is one of these Pillsbury rollout pie crust. But you can use those, or you can make your own homemade pie crust. You're going to need eggs, 2 eggs, a 1/3 cup of light brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I'll have to get that. 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1 1/4 cup of light brown corn syrup, or light corn syrup, I'm sorry. 1 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 1/2 teaspoon of all-purpose flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 3 eggs, and then 1 1/2 cups of pecans, which are here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my pan. I'm preheating my oven to 375 degrees. Spray my pan good. I'm using a tart pan. I don't have my pie crust. I've made a couple pies tonight. And so anyway, I think it'll be fine. I made a pumpkin pie with one earlier, and it seemed perfect. It looked perfect. So I think it'll be fine. I've got my oven, like I said, preheating to 375 degrees. So I'm just going to roll my pie crust out. These are neat because I think it makes it have a look of a homemade pie. You put the work in, but not necessarily you didn't do it. And it's going to look good. It'll taste good. And like I said, all those things with the secret ingredient is love. You put the work in, and your family's going to know it. And it'll be fine. This is sort of just going to be a rustic pie crust. It's not, doesn't have to be perfect. It's just going to settle in there, and it'll all be good. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter. So with this recipe, we're going to use our 2 tablespoons of butter. Now, we're just mixing everything together. 1/3 cup of brown sugar. 1/3 cup. I've got several measuring things here. A lot of mine are dirty, so I'm just going to use what I've got. 1/3 cup. It's supposed to be packed brown sugar. It's a little bit much. Yes. 1/3 cup. Okay. 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We already put that in. 1 1/4 cup of light corn syrup. 1 1/4 cup. I've seen this somewhere where you can spray your spoon or cup or whatever when you're using something sticky like honey or syrup, and it'll keep it from sticking. It'll slide out. So 1 1/4 cup. This is 1 cup. So let's see if it works or not. 1 cup. Pretty good. Yeah. Now let me get 1/4 of a cup. Okay, there we go. 1/4 of a cup. Okay. 1 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. So 1 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. So this is 1 teaspoon and 1/4 cup. 1/4 teaspoon, I mean, is here. Oops. A little bit too much there. 1 1/2 teaspoon of all-purpose flour. 1 1/2 teaspoon of all-purpose flour. Got my all-purpose flour here. Let me set this back up. 1 1/4 teaspoon. So let's see here. 1 1/2 teaspoon. There's 1, and then 1/2 will be okay, and then 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/4, so let's get it on down. Of salt. Okay. And 3 eggs. So here's 2. Ah, that was not good. There went some shell in. 1. That's why it's a good thing to break them over top of a bowl instead of what you're mixing it in. I think I got it all. I hope I did, because this is for dinner tomorrow. I think I did. That's 1. Put it in here. That's 2. And this is 3. Okay. And then 1 1/2 cups of pecans. So, 1, 2. Now, you can use pieces or pecan halves. I'm using the halves. So, this is a cup. And then 1/2 of another bag. Half of another bag. Okay. All right. So we're going to stir. Literally, all we're doing is stirring this together and dumping it in our pie crust, which I'm going to poke the crust with some tines in my fork. I don't know if that's something, my mom always done that, so that's the way I do it. It smells like pecan pie, and it looks like it's going to be pretty amazing. Okay, so let's see here. Let's just poke our pie a little bit. I've heard of poking the bear, but never poking the pie, have you? Okay, I just mixed it all together in there, and we're going to pour.
Okay, guys, I recommend that you don't use a tart shell because this did boil over in the oven. So make sure that you do use a pie crust container that's for a pie crust.
We're going to bake it on 375 for 28 to 32 minutes. The last 15 minutes we will cover the edge so it does not burn. We have to let it cool for 3 hours before we can slice it so it don't fall apart, and we store it in the refrigerator because it does have eggs in it. So I'm going to put it in the oven now, and I will set my timer for approximately 28 to 32 minutes. So about 30 minutes, I'll meet you back here and we will look out and see.
This honestly turned out absolutely delicious. It was so good and everyone loved it. Once again, make sure you check out Valerie's channel as well as the playlist in the description box. All the content creators would love for you to like and subscribe to our channels. We thank you for watching. We hope that you really enjoyed this Thanksgiving Day Sides collab and got lots of cooking motivations for the upcoming holidays. Happy holidays!